RDMS.
Whenever I do fight again, I need Christian Reynoso there on commentary. Otherwise, I'm not doing it.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another edition of Reynoso Noso. Christian here. Super excited for today's episode because I'm being joined by one of the Midwest's premier, most battle-tested featherweights, 9-2 professional mixed martial artist, PFL veteran, former CFFC featherweight champion, and as always, proudly representing Gilbert Grappling, none other than José Perez. What's up, brother?
What's up, Christian? How you doing, man? Appreciate you having me.
Don't be silly, bro. This is great. Like I said, you're one of these guys that is like synonymous with Midwest MMA, not just for, making a name for yourself locally. But, you're a former champion of CFFC. You fought for PFL. Your last fight was in Saudi Arabia. You're representing on the big stage. I'd say at this point, it's hard for me to say because I've known you since you were a kid, but you're a legit veteran, man.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, dude. It's went from watching in the stands and watching guys like you and Terry House and the guys that were like from a generation before me, and now it's my turn.
Well, you're not just out there, leading from the front and competing yourself, but you're coming to us out of Gilbert Grappling, like I said, a team that has a ton of momentum. You're not the only one out there. You mentioned Terry House, an OG of the game that's coming out of Gilbert Grappling, but also, of course, Bo Samaniego, Michaela Rampage, big names that are out there competing, and you're in their corner. So you're wearing a lot of hats, fighting, coaching. Let's talk about that role.
Yeah, man. As far as yeah, leading the show from the fight standpoint, we're all doing our own thing, but at Gilbert Grappling, I'd say like everyone says we're a team, and you hear the old like saying that everyone says it's so worn out, like we're a family, but fuck, man, like at G2, I've been to a lot of gyms, I've been to a lot of teams and been a part of a lot of things. I've never really felt closer to my training partners. And it really is, dude. We beat the hell out of each other every day. And then when it comes times to go out there and get it on with someone else outside of the family, dude, then I'm in the corner. Like, trust me, when I say it, my voice still a little hoarse. But over the past weekend, I was cornering the guys over in North Dakota for CFFC. And that's intense for me. We when they go in, I'm going in too. Like I can't fight for them, but literally anything that I can do to try to help them out and then make sure we secure the win, then I'm doing it, man. We're doing homework together, and yeah, dude, Bo did great, Chris did great. OG fought a tough girl, fought her fight, and didn't go her way, but we're doing it. We are. I'd say that's the biggest thing, man. We're not a lot of local fights going on for us, but we're all doing it on the big stage and performing well, fighting some of the best guys in the world and best girls in the world that are unsigned to the UFC.
So Gilbert Grappling, G2, like obviously there was, of course, there's Joey and Danny Gilbert and names like Clay Guida from back in the day. But it feels like, and I talk about it a lot, like the resurgence of Gilbert Grappling. It feels like you were maybe at the forefront of that. But the names you have already mentioned, obviously, Bo and Rampage, and you mentioned Christian Herrera earlier. And let's talk about this new era coming out of Gilbert Grappling, because it is, I haven't been, but from what I know and from what I've seen, I mean, you guys, I get it. You guys are OG, old school guys. There's nothing fancy about it from what I've seen. You guys are just hardworking, blue collar guys that know how to go out there and get the job done. So let's talk about the current era right now at Gilbert Grappling.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, a lot of people in the area, like if you've been around the sport for a while, especially in the Midwest, everybody knows somebody that fought from G2. Obviously, Clay Guida was an old school guy, Chase Beebe an old school guy, AJ Knoll. You'll know Matt Giancarlo. These are all guys that like have fought before, and done well, and they were the originals for G2. And yeah, I guess like when I came in was kind of a transitionary period in the fighters where a lot of the older guys were starting to retire, kind of go back to normal life. And when I got there, it was Bo. Bo was really the one who was at the forefront of it all. And I went there just with I'd stopped fighting for 3 years when I had my kids and tried to be a normal guy. But I kept eating like I was a professional fighter, which is not good. I can't get away with that. So I needed to work out, and met Bo, and he was super driven. And I'm like, all right, like, started helping him out, and man, went to one of his fights, his first professional fight actually. And that was it. Dan Gilbert walked up to me like right at the end and was like, hey, like, so you ready to fight? And I was like, dude, you read my mind. Like, yeah, let's do it. And it kind of ended up like crappy timing, because I was going to fight March of 2020 actually in Hammond, and COVID shut everything down. And it seemed like we just kept lining up new fights for me, and nothing was coming through, or they'd fall through last minute. It was just a rough time. Bo was actually set to fight in CFFC against Brandon Gator, and got a hand injury in training. And about 3 weeks before, Dan's like, hey, if you're ready, we can start getting you ready, and I can try to slip you in as a replacement for Bo in this fight. And we kind of pulled a fast one on CFFC, because I was on a 3-year layoff, and they weren't really interested in me, because you don't know what a guy's going to look like. And my amateur record is spotless, but when I was fighting in the area, as you know him, Miguel Torres, that was my coach, and he was the man at that time. No one wanted to fight me, so it was like whoever could get in there, that's who I was fighting. And so they had no clue what to expect. And we kind of twisted their arm, waited till last minute to tell them that Bo's hand was hurt and that I was there for a replacement, to kind of like give them no other choice but to put me in. And the rest is history. We started rolling. I won that fight in less than 2 minutes. Bo got in. We started collecting guys like Chris Williams and Stephen Collins, 5-0 in LFA. Chris Williams 3-0. Lewis and Sweatup came in. OG's been there for a long time. Michaela Rampage, she's been there for a long time too. And yeah, we just ended up with this like ragtag group of misfits. And like you said, nothing fancy, just hardworking. We get it done together. And yeah, I guess I know that some people, like I've talked to other people from the area, and I guess they say we're kind of known for sparring a little too hard. But I mean, to some degree, it's the game of fighting, dude. Like can't really be a bitch about it. Like, forgive my French, but that's what it is, man. We train hard, we beat the hell out of each other, and when we get in the fight, dude, there's nothing new. Nothing is unexpected. We're prepared for anything. And that's it, bro. Like we're doing it. We're doing it together, and we don't really like have a lot of outside help. It's just us. And it seems to be more than enough, because I mean, proof is in the pudding. Look at the performances, look at the records, look at the shows we're fighting on. When I vacated the title to go to PFL, Bo had already been the top contender in CFFC waiting. He was just kind of in a log jam, because unless he's going to fight his teammate, he doesn't have the shot at the belt. And well, I mean, like I said, proof's in the pudding. Look at the results. Look at the resumes. Look at who we're doing.
Yeah, and I'm going to take this opportunity to kind of rewind, because you brushed over it, but like you said, your amateur career, you spent it training out of Torres Martial Arts with Miguel Torres, who's a local guy, who makes sense as to why it was such a struggle to get you fights. I think it's 2017, right, when you had your amateur run.
Yes.
But I knew you from way before that. Like I met you in 2011, I think, and you were like this. I don't know, man. I could try to do the math real quick, but you were probably like what, like 16 or something like that. I mean, I
I was
don't know.
15. I was 15. I
Um,
was a freshman in high school, and you choked me out with a guillotine
I
in front
wasn't
of my
gonna bring that
girlfriend.
up, dude. I wasn't gonna bring that up. I wasn't gonna
Oh,
bring
I
that
knew
up.
you weren't, because you're a
I wasn't
gentleman,
gonna
but I
bring
knew
up.
I was
I
gonna.
wasn't gonna bring up this belt that I want. It just happened to be here. But what I am gonna. No, I wasn't gonna bring it up.
I
But
knew. I had it ready. I already told my girl before I got on the interview. I'm like, he's not gonna say shit, but I am.
You're a good guy because I don't have many accolades anymore. If I don't fucking hang shit up and have people like you vouching for me, everybody just thinks I'm a geek in a tie, like in the broadcast
No,
booth. But I did my
I give
shit.
you credibility. You got my vouch for credibility for sure.
But bro, okay, enough about me. But so I remembered, like, let's talk about that day. Fuck it. So at the time, I'm like 25 years old. I've already turned pro. I'm fighting professionally, and I'm at a local Naga to compete in the expert nogi division. And I'm gonna tell you what I saw. I show up and they may have already started because I show up to shit late, and they're like, I'm like, so who's here? And they're like pointing out this black belt, that black belt, and then they're like, and then there's this kid from Torres, and he's fucking dudes up, and I was like, what? And I look over and it's you, and you look 12. Like you're like in the little spandex shorts and shit.
Pink. I was in pink Valley Tudo shorts, dude.
Yeah,
That
dude.
was
And I'm
the
like, but
worst
you know
case
what?
scenario.
No. At the time, GSP was hot, so like the fucking the manties were the thing. I get it. So I look out and I don't remember who it was. I probably could figure it out, but you're fucking up a local black belt at the time, and I'm like, this kid's like fucking 15. And I'm like, all right, fuck it, let me at him. But like in reality, I was like, fuck, I really don't want to go. Like it's like a lose-lose situation,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. That's what I was gonna say.
I was like, I don't really want to do it. Luckily, we go out there and we have our match and it goes in my favor and we move on. But I just remember being like, fuck, I got to keep my eye on this one. And I'm sure you've encountered it too now. Every now and then you meet someone that's really young or early in their fight career and they're really good. And you're like, fuck, that person's going to be a problem in like 5 years or whatever, right? And that's kind of the vibe I had from you. I was like, man, I want to keep my eye on this guy. But you didn't fight. I mean, I knew you were young, but you didn't fight for quite some time. 6 years later, you're probably close to 22 or something by the time you
Yeah,
fought.
I had like it was like a week or two after my 21st birthday that I fought. I had a kickboxing match before that was supposed to be an MMA fight, but yeah, 21 is when I started fighting.
Tell me a little bit
Or
about
22,
what.
I'm sorry, a month or like 2 weeks after my 22nd birthday. Sorry.
So explain to me how, as a grown ass man, I showed up to Naga and saw a young ass kid that was so seasoned. Like, explain to me, like I know what 30-year-old Jose Perez is like. Explain to me what 15-year-old Jose Perez was like and how he was such a bad motherfucker.
That's a long story, but you got me. So yeah, dude. 9 years old, started training with Miguel Torres, and he doesn't get the credit that he deserves, but everybody in the local area knows who he was and exactly like how big the things were that he did and how important he was to the sport. But yeah, I dusty little kid from a trailer park. To give context to that, we didn't have a lot of money when my mom passed away. We moved out and they just tore the trailer down. Like it was not in good shape. Miguel used to help get me to the gym. And this is when he's like on top of the world. What, it's like 2008, the new body style for the Charger comes out, the Dodge Charger. This guy would pull up to my busted down trailer and in a matte black Charger, painted matte black, had tints, had rims, had a sound system, and the roof of his car was suede and had his name on it. I was destined or doomed, whatever you want to call it, to be a fighter. There was no way that I was going to do anything else. I'd be in that car on the way to the gym and I would just roll the window down and just pray that someone from my neighborhood would like see me pulling off in that car. There was no way that I was like not going to do it. The Hammond Civic Center, dude, I'm finally fighting locally. And this is one of those moments that no, it's not necessarily as big as the CFFC or things I've already done, but to me, gigantic because little Jose, 9-year-old Jose, that set out on this journey, this dream that I've held on to for 21 years now, thought it would have been the coolest thing ever to be the main event, just like Miguel Torres was at that time, and be the main event in my area and have everybody go ballistic when I walk out and put on wars and put on performances. And that's what it was, dude. The second that I set out and I said, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, dude, I was Miguel's shadow. And Miguel was real big on the idea that size doesn't matter, strength doesn't matter, it's technique over everything. And I lived and died by that. So when I was 13 and I started beating up the guys that were my own age and I'd win all the tournaments, he's like, all right, like now we're gonna start kicking it up a notch. And then I started sparring with the adults. I wouldn't go to kids class anymore. And yes, you're one of the guys that knew me at that age in my young teenage years to my youth. And like that, those are really the people who know me. Like I exist in this generation, but the people who really know me for what I truly am are the people from the generation prior. Like Armando Reyna, 13 years old was when I would go to his classes because he used to teach the classes at Miguel's gym when Miguel was preparing for a fight. I met Armando
Who,
Reyna, didn't make it easy on me.
who now
What were you
runs
gonna say?
Maxim Gym, right?
Yes, he runs Maxim Gym. I would pop over at Cologne's when I was a teenager. And same thing, he knew me for what I was. I met Terry House and a lot of the guys that I was watching when I was 9, 10 years old at the Hammond Civic Center. Now I'm training with them and yet again now I'm training with Terry House again. Um yeah, dude. So I mean it was always this thing. Like that's why I've always remembered you. I've said hi to you every time I see you because not even being arrogant, but I didn't lose a lot. Like me and you met in the finals. I didn't lose a lot. And I didn't care if you were a fighter. I didn't care that you were older than me. I didn't care about anything. I just had the mentality that like I'm fuck that. I'm not gonna lose. And when I did lose, it stung, and I'll remember you forever. So I mean, like that's just what it is. I will always remember that situation, dude. My girl was there. Why would you do that to a teenage boy? My girl was there. I'm like, hey, why don't you come watch me wrestle? Instantly get guillotined. I'm like,
Yeah,
too
yeah,
funny.
that you know why? Because I got the probably maybe the most fragile ego, and I was like, they could put a grandma in here. I'm gonna fucking kill her in
Yes,
front of these people. But dude, I lucked out that we met when you were 15 because right now you'd bend me up in a pretzel, and that is what it is.
nice.
Um,
I see you with your family photos. You still got it. You're still jacked.
bro, it's all smoke and mirrors, bro. It's filters and a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Don't buy the hype,
Man,
bro.
teach me. Teach me.
Dog, you know what it is? I got off the booze and all of a sudden I'm just like automatically insta ripped after I quit boozing. But anyways, bro, yeah, like I said, so I kind of watched you from afar because like you said, I met you in that era. Um to me it was like there was something really I don't know. It's like there's a mystique to somebody like yourself, right? Like you see a kid that's like doing what you're doing, and also obviously you couple it with Miguel, like you said. I love to give Miguel his flowers anytime I can, because I know for a fact I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for Miguel. When I was a kid, I was going to watch him, um, in these little shows way before his WEC era when he was a purple belt and shit. I remember going
Yeah,
as and the crazy thing is he wasn't even that much older than me. I was like a
you
preteen
just
and he was
started
like,
real young.
yeah, I was like a preteen and he was like 18 or something. Um, so yeah, shout out to Miguel. Definitely a legend and a big deal for guys like you and me, I think. And a lot of people that don't even realize he's part of their fabric. Um, so when you end up turning pro in 2020, like you said, you kind of slid in under the nose of Rob Haydeck at CFFC. Um,
Yeah,
but you didn't just start fighting. I mean, you finished up 2020 and then you fought through 2021. I think you had 6 fights in a really short, in that time, becoming CFFC champion and like almost making a point of taking out like these undefeated top prospects in their backyard. And it was like, I don't know if CFFC was doing that to you. I don't know if you were asking for it, trying to prove a point, but it seemed like there was like a little streak where it was like, all right, Jose's fighting another undefeated guy in his hometown. Even when you were kind of the champ, I think it happened. So what was going on during that era?
yeah, you're right. I was trying to prove a point. Um, I'd say the first undefeated guy that they offered me, that wasn't my choice. They sent him out from Sacramento, California. And same thing, I finished him. He was a black belt. I was a little nervous about that. And I finished him in 3 minutes with 1 minute of it being in the stand up. And yeah, dude, I felt untouchable. And I think a part of that was also, yeah, trying to prove a point. Um, But I got these kiddos and I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm in a rush. So what I felt would be my best method, which looking back on it now was like naive. That was just my own ignorance to how the business side of this works is. Um, I'm like, if I beat the toughest guys, if I beat these undefeated guys and make myself undeniable, then they're gonna have to call me and they're gonna have to call me quick. Issue with that is you're fighting these undefeated guys that are like top tier talent. You can't always finish those guys. Not every single one of them is going to be a finish. If I did go to decision, I would do my best to make it a wild ass barn burner of a fight and something, you know, noteworthy to the matchmakers. But at the end of the day, they want highlights. They want highlights. So it almost would have served me better looking back to have fought like maybe a few cans in there. Like one of my most like noteworthy performances early on was my second fight. CFFC wasn't calling me back. I figured I assumed they thought the Brandon Gator fight was like a fluke. Um, they weren't calling me back. I had signed a fight in Kentucky with B2 MMA. They didn't call me until 5 days before a fight because someone tested positive for COVID. So then I have to get my medicals and cut all this weight in 5 days. And that was against a guy who was actually 1-3. So that's probably the only like subpar opponent that I fought, but I did my best to make something amazing happen, the banana split. And to this day, that's one of those things that people remember me for more than anything. Is it's that one and my crazy fight with Capaldo. And so yeah, I think that maybe if I would have taken that route, like I probably would have been somewhere even further than I am now and maybe not sustained as much damage along the way. But that like you know that I plan to open a gym one day. I already coach a lot at G2 and help those guys out. Those are things that even though I didn't know, like when it was my turn, I know now. So that's knowledge I can share with these guys that it's like, yeah, dude, like you want to take those tests, you want to fight those hard fights because if you never fight those tough fights and then you get into the UFC, you're not going to have anything like you're not going to get those kind of opportunities. You're only going to fight killers. So if you have no context onto where you actually fit and know what it's like to be in those situations, to be cut, to be tired, to be going against someone that just might be better than you in certain facets of the game, you're not going to last long. So it's like, great, you made it to UFC, but what did you really accomplish because you were gone 2 fights later? Because they just found out that, hey, you've been fraud checked. So it's kind of balancing those two where you want to make a name for yourself, give the fans something to share and repost on Instagram, but you also want to take those tests and make sure that you are what you say you are, you know?
Yeah, it's funny. You said the word undeniable because I literally have it written in my notes. Like I said, you had this real aura about you at the time. Was it about making yourself undeniable? And I think it's funny that and that's not because I'm some sort of fucking great journalist. I'm not. It's because it's exactly what you did, though. Like even from an outsider looking in, even somebody that obviously is on your side, because I know you and I'm a friend of yours, right? I want to see you do well, but I could see it was obvious. I was like, this guy is doing everything right to make sure he's on that short list to get called up. I never quite looked at it from the perspective of, oh yeah, maybe he's not getting the finishes and that's the reason. Um, because you were still getting those fucking barn burner fights, like you said, like those bloody, looking at the camera, shouting at like those are the moments as far as like I don't know. I figured those moments are almost equally viral and almost equally telling of what kind of a fighter you have on your hands if you're a matchmaker. But maybe maybe even not like you said, you're being naive. Maybe I'm being naive as well.
No, well, really what it is the fact that you're not ignorant. But the fact of the matter is the fighters respect the hell out of me. The coaches respect the hell out of me. The matchmakers respect the hell out of me because they actually know what I did and they know like the magnitude of what I was trying to do, how I was doing it. What I was like 7 fights in, and the majority of my fights were against undefeated opponents. It was a string of like months where all I was doing was requesting undefeated guys once I got the first one out of the way. Um, that it is something to be respected. It is real. I'm really proud of how I did it. I don't regret doing it that way. But the fact of the matter is, most people that watch the sport, they don't look at it that way. They are casual fans. You know, the majority of people who watch it don't actually know what's going on. Um, so they're just looking for something that, like I said, is shareable, something that they can click share on, something crazy they can share with their friends that looks cool. And it's more about how it looks and how it's perceived than what it actually is. So it's a weird game you got to play. That's been kind of one of the things I've learned more as I've been in this is I've always known how to fight. I've been doing this for a long time, like a very long time. I've been training and preparing for these moments, but I just had no context to the landscape and what exactly like it's a business. It's a business, and that's what this is you can't just be good, you got to be smart.
Yeah. Yeah, that's shit. I guess throw that on the pile of lessons that you're gonna have prepared for your students whenever you know it's time to write that chapter. Because as long as I've known you as like not just a fighter, but you're a legit martial artist technician. Like I see you out there. Your fight IQ is so high level. I hear you talk, I hear you coach, I hear you in the corners, even when I'm commentating, I hear you sometimes corner your fighters. You're so pragmatic about the way you approach everything. I think there's a lot to be said for understanding the fight mentality, understanding the business mentality, but also the business mentality from a coach that's handling fighters, which is
Yeah,
completely different. Which is
yeah,
completely different, you know?
100%. I feel like I had the benefit. So kind of going back to Miguel, like I had a real look. Like everyone kind of looks at the greatest fighter in the world and they want to model themselves after that, but they have no context into the reality of the situation. I was able to, like you said, when Miguel was a purple belt and he was fighting at local shows, I knew him then and all the way until he was on top of the world and everything afterwards. Like we said, he does. I know the reality of this. Everyone loves a soldier until they come home. I think I have a good view and a good grasp on what I'm actually doing. I'm not doing this for like glory because I know that that's going to go away. Like no matter what you did with your career, like you're never going to last forever. And everyone's on to the next one. The sport will outlast you. It's going to outlive you. And there'll be new fighters that make you irrelevant. Um, but yeah, I was cornering Miguel, flying out to Houston, helping him with his fights when I was a teenager. Like, so I think I have like good. I started off with a good context. I had like a lot of opportunities. He was bringing a lot of guys like Kurt Pellegrino, Miguel Cotto, Rashad Evans. Who else? AJ Algazar was there. Like I've been around a lot of guys that did it and did it at a high level from a young age. So I think that I had a better context. And now the landscape isn't exactly the same as it was before, but I'm getting my footing on that one. Well, fuck that. I already have my footing. I know what it is. Um, and yeah, that is something that I can pass on. So when I talk to Steve's 5-0, super young. I don't just tell him what he needs to do in the fight, but like, hey, dude, like, let's run your career a little bit better than mine. I'm telling you things that I wish I knew. I wish someone knew for me because Dan's coached a bunch of fighters into the top tier, like the highest levels of the sport. But the landscape that exists now and this huge explosion that even happened recently with like COVID blew up the sport. That expedited the growth process like insanely. The landscape's so different. It's so different, and it's not just about skill anymore.
Yeah, there's just much more to it. I think everything, God, that's such an interesting observation on your part because I noticed it. I've talked about it, but I don't think I ever actually put my finger on it and said like, yeah, it was COVID that really took off afterwards. But I guess it's because I've kind of had my nose down working the whole time. Like that's when I jumped into like getting onto this side was after COVID. Um, but you're right. I think like most things, when you get it taken away, when you get the opportunity to come back, you want to come back guns a blazing. And it felt like the mixed martial arts community was just chomping at the bit to come back after COVID. And then, Dana White, at the helm of the UFC, getting that ball rolling, I felt like
Yeah,
that helped all the local people say, like, well, we can do it too. way before any other sport happened. So I think we gotta jump on on other sports. And with our sport being what it is, we also experienced an evolution at the same time.
100%. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the UFC never stopped. They never stopped during COVID. Everybody's stuck inside just watching it. Social media even social media even blew up at that point. Like, not to say that social media wasn't popular before, but you get a bunch of people that are literally stuck in their house and can't communicate with the outside world outside of their phone. That's, I mean, the world
Yeah,
changed.
yeah.
The world changed and went a certain direction when that happened, and that included changes in the game and the business and the landscape of MMA.
I was gonna ask you, I was gonna say, like, was it like soul searching during COVID that made you come back guns a blazing in 2020? But it sounds like you were ready to get the ball rolling in March, which is exactly when the world shut down, right?
Yes, just crappy timing, but yeah, when I got my opportunity with CFFC, I took full advantage of it, made sure that I was every opportunity I had to fight, I was taking it.
So you become the champ at CFFC. It seemed like, I guess I was, like I said, I wasn't thinking about like all the finishes versus decisions, but it felt like you're on the fast track to the UFC. As far as I'm concerned, shows like the LFA, where of course like Scuba Steve's at now, CFFC, you and Bo and Michaela obviously are all there. Um, I feel like those are the shows in locally, I guess APFC and stuff. Those are the shows that kind of move people to the big show. Um, but you never lost the belt at CFFC. You already touched on it. You went ahead and vacated it before cutting to the PFL. Is that what happened?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so what brought about that decision? Was that your decision? Was it an opportunity?
Um, so I had a manager in 2023, and I, it's me. It's not anything to say with the manager because the same story kind of happened as far as on the business side of things. Where so I'm in the CFFC. Before I win the belt, I fight Paul Capaldo. I'm already on a run at that point. That's my fourth consecutive undefeated opponent. Um, insane fight. Got awarded. I got awarded 3 awards that year for were nominated for 3 awards that year from Fight Pass. Everyone's looking at me already like, dude, like I'm got managers hitting me up left and right. And I was just everyone's kind of the narrative was like this is the one that's gonna get to the UFC. Because Paul Capaldo prior to that fight he got picked up for the contender series, but tested positive for COVID before he could fight and they didn't give him another opportunity. Um, so then he comes back and fights me. And I think that everyone was kind of just looking at it like he was going to beat me. And so, yeah, big moment. It was supposed to get me to the contender series, give me something. Didn't happen. So I re-signed with CFFC and tell them, hey, like I'm only coming back if you give me the title shot. And they sent the contract that day. And no brainer. I'm like, okay, get the belt. They're like, okay, that's the one that's going to get you to the UFC. It didn't. I'm accepting offers for short notice fights and it's not coming through. I was gonna fight. I offered to fight Diego Lopez on short notice through Iridium before he ended up the man. Sean Woodson, Hyder Emil. These are all guys that I accepted to fight in the UFC that didn't work out. And then I tried to go 155 in 2023 for the Ultimate Fighter. Didn't work out. Contender Series that year didn't work out. Um, Everyone's kind of like, what the hell is going on? Even the guy who runs UFC Fight Pass, Walker Van Way, we're in constant talks, and he's like just laughing about it. He's like, how have they not like called you yet? What's the holdup? And nobody seems to know, but the powers that be, obviously, like I said, it's kind of business oriented, so who knows? So I go through it. Short notice doesn't get me there. 55 for the Ultimate Fighter didn't get me there. Contender Series didn't get me there. Then I sign a contract with PFL that was supposed to start in 2023, and because of the contract I had with Cage Fury, they couldn't honor it. We thought that I was going to be able to get out, and it didn't happen. So fast track 1 year later, it's the exact same thing. I accepted short notice fights with UFC fighters that didn't work out. I was in talks with the Ultimate Fighter for 5 months for this last season, 145. Well, not this last season that went, but last year's season for 145, and same thing, didn't work out. Contender Series didn't work out. So I personally go to Rob Hayek, who owns the CFFC, and tell him like, hey, like I don't really know what I'm missing or what box I'm not checking, but PFL is willing to make me an offer. And so he basically said, Rob Hayek's also a bit of a manager himself. And he said, well, let me talk to McMaynard and see what he has to say and just confirm that it's for sure that you're not getting a call for the Contender Series this year. Makes the call, and it was to the point to where those matchmakers, it's not a secret. I'm not hidden, I'm not a hidden gem anymore. They know who I am, but it's a matter of pulling the trigger. Do I cater to a market? Am I sellable? And basically when we found out, okay, Rob Hayek said, all right, so he said no go on the Contender Series. If you put a PFL contract on my desk, then I'll let you go. And that's exactly what happened. So two different management companies, 2 different years, same thing played out. So I can't really blame one management company because they both were able to accomplish the same things. The only difference being the second time around is I was actually the one who like personally spoke with Rob Hayek, and we have a good relationship, and he helped me out there.
Yeah, that's a tricky spot because it's hard. I'd imagine, you put a lot of eggs in that UFC basket, right? But realistically, there are other players out there. And how long can you kind of just, the trajectory you may be picturing, it may be one thing, but how long can you continue on in that, trying to jam that square peg into a round hole?
Yeah.
But with that being said, dude, I don't know. I think you're a humble guy. And I think, you talk about checking boxes, and I don't know. I'm biased. You're my boy. But I'm also a big MMA fan and just a fucking fight nerd. And I don't know if I could draw up a better contender or a better person to throw in the mix of like an Ultimate Fighter or a Contender Series than yourself at 9-2 with a legitimate story behind you. I think because you're a modest guy and you're just like, oh, well, I knocked out this fight, beat that undefeated guy, and another undefeated guy, and another undefeated guy. Like, no, this is a pretty amazing story. This is a kid from humble beginnings getting picked up by the pound for pound greatest fighter in the world at the time, driven to practice, you know, getting to model himself in the shadow of truly one of the GOATs at the time.
Yeah.
And then life gets in the way, just like any other person, or not gets in the way, life happens, right? Your attention goes elsewhere. You're working on building a family. Your dreams of returning are always there. Undefeated amateur. Get off to an unbelievable start as a professional. You rip through the contenders, taking out blue chip prospects in their backyard. And at 9-2, you're not sitting on a 500 record. You're sitting on a fantastic record. You're 30 years old. You've got plenty of fight left in you. I don't know, man. We've had 3 guys. I've had 3 guys on my show that have been Contender Series guys, all get signed. I'd love to see you take care of business in November, and then love to hear you be the 4th one, because I can't picture, I can't draw up anybody better for that spot, for that Contender Series spot, for that Ultimate Fighter spot than José Perez. So for what it's worth, man, I don't think I'm a casual. From what it's worth, from the real fans, and I don't know, man. I don't know what box needs to be checked yet, because I think you're checking them all, bro. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, on a personal note, like I know and I understand, like it's not arrogance. It's just I know what I can do. I know where I belong. I know what I'm deserving of. But I do, like I said, I understand. At least I understand now the business aspect of things. But yeah, man. So my goal going forward is just I'm one of the best fighters at my weight class in the country, and I'm from the area. But the thing is like I said, a lot of people are casual. So the fighters in the area, they know exactly who I am. The coaches in the area, they know exactly who I am. The matchmakers in the area, they know exactly who I am. And you know, a lot of people say they did it when they were a kid, and that's kind of thrown around a lot. It's proven. The area knows exactly who I am, and they knew who I was when I was a kid. But the fans don't. So that's kind of one of those things that I'm gonna start doing is I'd like to get a few fights in the area. I just don't see a logical reason that the area, that Illinois and Indiana, shouldn't know exactly who I am, because I'm one of the best fighters in the country. I'm one of the best fighters, for sure, one of the best fighters in this area, in this region of the country. Um, my rankings just all exist on the East Coast because that's where I predominantly fought. So yeah, trying to get to know the fans, put my name out there. You know, I had a bunch of fans in Philly. I got a bunch of fans in Memphis. Picked up some fans along the way at all the little like road stops that the PFL took last year. Um, yeah, dude. So bring it home, and like I said, I don't want to stress myself out about the things that I can't control. The business aspect of the sport is out of my control. Can't really do much about that, but I can fight, and that's what I do. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I've always done. I've said it before in a post-fight interview that fighting is not something I do. It's who I am. This is my identity is intertwined with my performances, and that's just what it is. So there's no reason that I need to stress myself out about the things that I can't control. I can control the outcome of these fights. I'm going to do that in November, knock off another prospect and real young guy. He'll probably be better than me in the long run, but this time around, no way. But yeah, you get to know the fans, let the fans get to know me. No reason.
First
No
time,
reason.
first time fighting at home since 2017, if I'm not mistaken, right? You haven't fought professionally anywhere near home, have you?
Never, never. So it'll be 8 years and 2 months by the date that I fought since I fought at home.
Who's
So yeah,
counting?
I'm super excited. I'm counting.
I
I'm
love it,
counting.
man. So this is a huge deal. I'm gonna say something as well. It's not just a huge deal for your family and friends for you to be fighting locally. I think, and I'm gonna really put this out. I think it's a big deal for the Midwest community to have somebody of your caliber fighting out here, and I think it's really important that we support our own, um, very specifically you, because you've flown the flag for the Midwest at the highest level. You're returning home. I'm going to call it a cameo because you don't have to worry about what's out of your control, but I will. Uh, as far as I'm concerned, this is just a cameo, man, because I don't see how you don't get catapulted back into superstardom, brother. I think you're a star. I think you're a good guy, and watching the evolution of Jose Perez, um, it's awesome, bro. It's not just the fighter, but watching you evolve as a man. It's been crazy, dude. From that 15-year-old kid that I was low key a little bit afraid of, to to being a veteran, a coach, a dad, and man, I can't say enough good things about you, brother. And I'm really excited for you to pick up another big win in November. And
Another belt,
Sky,
another belt.
yeah, let's go. Sky's the limit, brother. Sky's the limit. Um, Before we wrap up, brother, how about you tell all the fans how they can stay up to speed on all things Jose Perez, and if you got any I don't know, shout outs or sponsors you want to throw in the mix.
Man, it's Jay Squabbles, JaySquables on Instagram, on TikTok. It's just Jose Perez on Facebook. Yeah, dude, give me a follow, give me an ad. That's really it, man. I'm not too big on the social media. Maybe that's why they haven't called me either. But but you'll keep up to date with my fights, and that's the most entertaining thing for me is you feel it. It's the realest fight there is. When you go watch me fight, you know you're not just watching someone trying to win rounds, you're watching someone trying to win a fist fight.
And I think you're being modest when you say one of the best fighters in the country. I think at 145 pounds, you're one of the best in the world. I think just people are sleeping on you, my man. But those who know, like you said. Um, So yeah, brother, this has been great, man. Any final thoughts before I send you on your way? I know you probably got some screaming kids that are looking for dad, or some screaming fighters that are looking for coach.
Oh, dude, keep me out here. The screaming kids. The longer you keep me, the less I got to deal with. I'm just kidding. I love them kids, and yeah. Fighters are getting ready. We got 6 guys on the card with me. I'm amped up, and thanks for your time, man.
No, thank you, my brother. Fight fans, don't miss an opportunity to catch Jay Squabbles in action locally, as he has a big fight coming up here in November. Stay up to speed on all things Jose Perez. As you heard, Jay Squabbles on Instagram, Jose Perez on Facebook. And of course, I'm going to have a link to this in the bio. And I'll be pushing all things Jose Perez, brother. Like I said, I'm a friend, but I'm a fan, dude. I'm a fan. I'm tuning in each and every time, bro. Thanks so much. Fight fans, again, give him a follow. Stay up to speed on all things Jose Perez. Thank you, my buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.